Welcome back. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi called on intensifying efforts to overcome economic, health and security repercussions of the coronavirus on African nations and peoples at regional and national levels. President el-Sisi made his call during his participation in the African Union Bureau Authority Summit through a video conference which was attended by heads of African regional economic groupings. The President stressed the significance of continuing collaborating efforts to vitalize the joint African action amid current critical circumstances. The head of state expressed his appreciation to South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, the current African Union President, for his keenness to hold AU periodic meetings despite challenges resulted from COVID-19 pandemic. He stressed that the upcoming AU summit would depend on tackling crucial issues that affect social and economic path in continent, which in turn plays a role in preserving peace and security in Africa. Presidential spokesman Bassem Radi said that the summit tackled undergoing preparations of the AU summit, which is scheduled to be held in February 2021. Thursday's summit agreed on continuing coordination and follow-up efforts that aim at setting a mechanism for the AU summit which guarantee its flexible organization and realize interests of the continent and its nations. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi instructed to preserve financial resources needed for civil companies to continue implementing national developmental projects across the country. The President's directives came during his meeting with Head of Armed Forces Financial Affairs Authority, Ahmed Shazli, to follow up steps of funding the civil companies assigned to implement the ongoing projects. The meeting reviewed the progress report of the project for developing villages within the framework of Decent Life program. In this regard, President el-Sisi directed to guarantee finance flow for this project and intensifying coordination among the concerning state sectors. The head of state stressed the importance of focusing on upgrading instruction and living conditions aspects to contribute in decreasing poverty rates and to develop infrastructure and basic services provided to citizens. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli hailed development work made in Abdeen Courts complex and the upgrading quality of services provided by the Ministry of Justice to citizens. During his tour to inspect renovation work in Abdeen Court complex, Madbouli said President el-Sisi has given his directives to develop the historical Old Cairo in general, which is part of the state's plan for Cairo to restore its cultural role. He was accompanied by Minister of Justice Amr Marwan and Cairo Governor Khalid Abdelail. The Minister of Justice noted that renovation work in the complex is the first since it was established in the 30th of last century. He said this comes as part of the ministry's plan to develop and upgrade courts to create an environment suitable for judges and citizens. The new services include the moving registry office car, which provides all services. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli chaired the first meeting with the Higher Medical Committee, which has been formed to follow up the work of the Egyptian Drug Authority and Unified Procurement Authority and coordination between them. The committee will submit an annual quarter report to President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi on performance of the two authorities. It will convene every 3 months or when it is needed. The committee gets help from whatever it considers to carry out its tasks, then submits its report to the President. The Ministry of Health hosted a press conference on the latest developments in efforts to curb the spread of the coronavirus. The press conference reviewed the role of a scientific committee for combating the pandemic in developing the treatment protocols. Head of the committee, Dr. Hussein Hosni, said the protocol is 100% Egyptian, with priority of protecting people's health. He said many researches had been carried out to approve any drug before adding it to the protocol of treatment. For her part, Deputy Head of the committee, Dr. Jihan El-Assel, described the protocol of treatment as comprehensive. She said the committee is working on modernizing and adding new drugs to the protocol to reach the best results. Egypt reported 911 new coronavirus infections, bringing the total number of cases to 127,972 people since the outbreak hit the country in mid-February. The Health Ministry also reported 42 new deaths, bringing the total number of fatalities to 7,209. The ministry added that 398 patients were discharged from hospitals, rising the number of those who have recovered to 107,961 people. Amid a rising number of coronavirus cases, the cabinet discussed measures to curb the pandemic in a meeting headed by Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli. The Prime Minister announced banning public festivities and gatherings, as well as sticking to the anti-coronavirus precautionary measures on New Year's Eve. Madbouli noted that any violation to these measures would be firmly punished, as the government is seeking to avoid a full shutdown. He instructed to allocate a sufficient number of quarantine hospitals to provide treatment to the patients who may need.